Hello. So I tried to stream earlier with no microphone or headset, and it didn't really work out very well. Couldn't hear me. I couldn't explain what was going on. So I decided to just wait till I got back to my usual desk here so I could stream for real. So I haven't touched this app for a while. Have been pretty busy with. I do some volunteering with Out in Tech and Women Who Code and a couple of other different things. And so I got pretty busy with some of those events that we were having. And but I'm excited to kind of dive back in. One of the things that I wanted to do for December is finish up a lot of the open projects that I have out. And so before starting new things, I talked with a friend of mine, Lori Culberson. We met up to do some coding, and we're talking about a kind of accountability and starting with what you finish and things like that. So decided to force myself to set some time aside to work on this. But in the interest of getting things done, I have decided to remove the R from the MERN stack. So instead of it's going to be MEN instead of MERN, or we could just call it a a full stack Node and JavaScript app. But yeah, I found that working with the React components and getting that together was taking up kind of more time than I thought it would. And really, what I was mostly interested in is building up the API and then querying the database. So decided to abandon React on the front end just in favor of something more simple with potentially the option of integrating that at a later date. So I have made some changes to the code, and this is the GitHub repo. And let me just make sure everything is uh, pushed. Yep. Okay. So this is the most recent code that's up there right now. So there is no more React app, and it's just I've set up a couple of different things. So I wanted to start by going over what the changes are and some of the things that I've. So if you're following along, pretty much we're starting over almost, but yeah. So I just wanted to talk to you what some of the changes are. So instead of I'm wondering if it almost makes more sense to that's okay. So this this app is still being built with Express. It's still being built with a MySQL database and SQLize. So really, it's just the front end that we were removing. So I removed React, but still have an Express server, and instead I just have kind of a public folder with HTML and JavaScript files, and those are just being rendered by the server. So I can go through what some of that code structure looks like. And so my package.json file, just the packages that are being used. Like I said, got rid of, excuse me, got rid of React. I'm not sure. Okay, so I guess Express is the only dependency I have right now, so which is pretty good. It's because I haven't done any of the database setup yet. So I haven't set up any of the database yet. So if you watched the previous streams, I had kind of already set up the database and the config.json file for the for SQLize, but I haven't. But in this kind of new iteration, I started over. I had to kind of start over from scratch. So that is not set up anymore. But I didn't. We hadn't gotten too far into it. But so it is using Express, and so with Express, we have a server.js file that sets up our port. Here is where I'm passing through the static files that are in my public and scripts folders. Um, and then this is going to be used later, maybe. I started to type that in, but ended up not needing it. Here I'm requiring my routes, so on the server. So I have my API routes and my HTML routes, and then this is actually starting up the server when I run that. And then yeah, so like I said, I have my API routes and some HTML routes. I don't have too many set up just yet. And then the data and why don't yeah, and then some these are the HTML pages here in public. And then scripts, we have some JavaScript files that are just handling the behavior on these HTML pages. So we can go ahead and start maybe with showing you how it works. So, all right, so we're starting up the server. So localhost 8080. This is our beautiful local music app. Like I said, it's just, oh, okay, the screen is too small to see things. Oh yeah, look, it does look kind of small. I wonder why that is. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. Not sure how that got resized. I think, or like I said earlier, I was streaming without a camera or anything, so I think the screen size may have gotten reshaped there. Okay, so this is the music app, and I can go ahead and actually put this on Zoom. And okay, so this is our homepage. There's two links: view artist and add artist so far. View artist, this just pulls from a JSON file. It's just repeating the elements. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Andrelimus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize. But I got to see the little Nyan cat, which was awesome. But this is essentially this is just bringing a JSON file and it's repeating through, and that looks like here the artist page, and then we also have the the JavaScript that's supporting it. So where I work, we use Redis. It's like a .NET C# project, but it uses Redis for caching. I didn't actually like write any of it. I'm a support technician, so it's mostly just kind of understanding how it works to see if it's broken. But I definitely don't have any experience with like setting any of that up, so to speak. At least not yet. So, and I'm not sure if we would keep using that for any kind of new projects. That's kind of it's been that set up that way for a while, so it's more like maintaining that current setup. Okay, yeah. So that's to say, most of the Redis that I've seen is like in existing code, um, not so much like writing it from scratch. Okay, so on the HTML page, it's just pulling in the script file here, but essentially it's just it's making a call here to let me zoom in a little bit here too, if it'll let me. No, that's okay. So it's making a fetch call to API/artists. And what that's doing is essentially it's just returning a JSON file that has the artist names. And then it's going over each artist in that JSON file, essentially just grabbing the name, the URL, and the photo, and then creating elements for those and then attaching them to the node back on the HTML file. So the HTML file is very sparse, and all it really has is just a div with an ID in order to be able to catch those nodes as they're being created. And then the add artist page, again, this is zoomed in just kind of for visibility. So let me just turn on the console here. So we just type in like a name, a URL. This is really all just right now, just kind of showing how the path is set up. And when you hit submit, I have it just logging the response to the console, but you get a message here that says artist added. So what's happening on the back end there is going to be on the add HTML. and the add.js. So on the add HTML, we have a form here, and then on submit is a submit button. So we have an event listener here in the JavaScript file that essentially is attaching an event listener of click to that submit button, prevents the default action. It grabs the values of the form elements, the inputs, saves those as an object, and then does a post request to API/add, and that is one of the API routes that we have set up here in API routes. So essentially, then it takes the response, and that's where it logs it to the console. And then if the response.status is 200, we get a message of artist added. If it's something else, then we get that something went wrong. So what's happening here, this app.post, right now all it's doing is just logging to the console and then sending back, sending back a response. That's because I haven't actually set any of the logic up here to save any new artists. Just wanted to, the first thing was to get this connected from the front to the back with those. This is my first time using the Fetch API. I had pulled up a past example in my GitHub where I had done something kind of similar. It was for it's called Friend Finder, I think. But I was looking at this project to kind of remind myself how to do some of this code. But here with the call that I made, I actually used vanilla JavaScript, and I made a new XML request. So this was different than using Fetch. So Fetch is promise-based. So all I have to do is essentially run the function fetch, put the URL through. Because I'm doing a post method here, you do have to specify, like the method in the headers and the body. But I also have a fetch API in the artist's JavaScript page here to get the JSON item, and that's just, you just pass the URL through because it's a get request by default. And so let me see. Sorry about that. Yeah, so add.js. Okay, so yeah, it's doing a post request. It's sending the data as a string, JSON stringify, and we can see that it does log to the console on the back end. That's what was here. So that's the artist that we entered, and then it just sends back a response, like a positive response, and handles that there. So that's what has been set up so far. So essentially, we just have the read or aspect, and then the create aspect of the front end. So like I said, on the API routes, nothing is really happening. We're just logging to the console. So the next step would be to actually, push to an array or something of that nature. And that would be something that we can do first, essentially, is like store the data on the server just within some kind of data structure, like probably an array of objects. But before we get to the point where we have to actually write to a database. So that would be the next step, and that's what makes it full stack, is essentially the fact that we have well, it depends on who you ask. Like, some people say if it has a front end and back end, so if it has a server, then that's full stack. Other people will say that you also need to have the persistent database of some sort to make it full stack. I don't, I think that nowadays more people, it's like front end includes more and more of that stack, because you have things like even like GraphQL, where you're writing pretty much database queries on the front end, and like kind of like serverless and different things of that nature. See, Kevin says, are full stack developers like magicians? I don't know. I guess if you think of a magician as somebody who like kind of doesn't totally always know what they're doing, or is trying to like pass it off, then that does describe me, because I feel like a lot of times I don't necessarily have the slightest clue. even though I consider myself a full stack developer. But yeah, I mean, I think all developers are magicians. I think that programming is magic in general. So um, whether it's a magician, wizard, witch, sorceress, we're all definitely a little weird. So yeah, so the next step would be we have kind of two options of where to go from here. So let me go back to the home page. So we have view artist, we have add artist. Obviously, like another one that we want to do is an edit/delete artist. That would essentially round out the update and delete aspects of kind of like a CRUD app. So CRUD is like create, read, update, and delete. Now that's involving database commands, which eventually the next one of these steps would be to add a SQL database to this using SQLize, which is an ORM. But for now, we can kind of think of it also as like using the REST, like a RESTful API. So that's where they have like the get, post, put, patch, the commands that you have on the API level in order to make those calls from the front end. So I vote that we build out another API endpoint to edit an artist, and then maybe also have a delete button, and then kind of just do the same thing, log to the console for now on the server, and then send a message back up. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. That way we can kind of have like the front end is pretty much done, and then after that we can start to write the API points using storage just on the server as opposed to in a database. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we will want to add a new HTML page. So I have one here, edit.html, already set up. So edit artist, and I feel like we would get to this page by clicking on an artist's name already, so we'd already have that information. But let's go ahead and make it to where we're going to enter in the name in order to build out the request. It's not the best UI, but like I said, I'm kind of more focused on getting the API set up right now. So let's go ahead and do a form. And we'll just start with the labels that we would need in order to do. So if you're thinking about editing an artist, you're thinking essentially of doing a put or a patch in order to update something that already exists. So in this case, I think it would probably be the easiest to send all the information, whether or not so for example, if we just have 3 pieces of data, we have a name, we have a URL, and then we have a photo. Which is actually supposed to be a photo file. So instead of trying to grab what's going on already, just having the person put in the information and then doing a match on the server in order to update that is probably the route that I'd want to go. So I'll go ahead and have them input everything and look for an exact match. So we're going to do a label for name. Let's see. I'm trying to make an app and it keeps track of what's in your fridge. Its main purpose is to come up with recipes based on what's in the fridge. I don't know what to call it right now. It's called Fridge Scavenger. Should I call it something else? It just depends. Yeah, so that's a really good question. It's kind of like a marketing question. A lot of it has to do with your target market, kind of who you're appealing to. So if it's something where you're like, maybe you have like a bunch of different types of demographics. So you have like, busy parents, but then you also maybe have like foodies, and then you have, like college kids who just need to be able to get whatever they can, like out of what they have and like make ideas. And then you can kind of think of maybe like a good name that fits with all of those. So like Fridge Scavenger is great because it tells you exactly what it does. So there's a lot of different approaches that you can take with building a name. But What are you building the app with? Is it going to be mobile? Is it, or is it like kind of like plugged into a device of some sort in the fridge? I don't know if there's like software developer kits for fridge apps and things like that. So mobile. Cool. That's awesome. And have you developed for mobile before? Is this your first mate like project that you're working on? I haven't done anything specifically for mobile yet, except for a little bit at work. Let's see. Okay. Type equals text. ID equals name. Okay, so then we have URL, and then we have photo, URL, and URL, and then we have photo and photo. I like to rerun everything pretty frequently as I'm coding. So no, it's my first mobile project. Any project for the winter break. Oh, awesome! Are you in school? That's a really good way to use your winter break. When I was in school, I would take like classes. They had those short semesters you could do in between. But yeah, it was kind of a good way to use that time to like stay sharp and not get too far off my routine. So so oh, that's right. This is not being rendered on the server yet. So Alt B. There we go. Okay, so we have the edit artist, photo, and then we also need to do, why is there an extra label? So what I get for copy and pasting. And then I submit, type equals submit, value equals submit. I think that's what I have. On add, type ID value, and then value. Yeah, I think mobile is definitely like more in demand, maybe just because less people, like fewer people do it. I think a lot of people start with web and then move into mobile when it comes up that it's needed. So I think that having that skill set is really helpful. So at my day job, I there we're currently developing a new mobile app on React Native, and like it's not something that necessarily, like, they have mobile apps that have existed, but it was kind of built more using like just kind of like web code, so to speak. So now that we're all kind of learning a mobile specific tool, I think like we're gonna like more and more things will move in that direction, definitely. So, and I think being able to understand how like the native aspects of a mobile device work is a pretty, like, is usually like kind of one of the bigger hurdles when switching from web to mobile, like understanding how to access the camera or the motion or the location. So if you can really understand kind of how those different APIs work with the different, whether it be Android or whether it be Apple, that's also like a really huge skill set that I think stick would set someone apart more. Um, okay, so I'm just gonna kind of keep referring back to my other one here. So we have the form, and then we just kind of just need a div ID equals response. Yeah, no, that's a really good way to do it. Before I started my boot camp, I did a coding boot camp at Georgia Tech. I asked like a ton of people for advice, just kind of trying to fill out what would be the best boot camp to take and what should I study, whether or not I should do it. And yeah, like I just got as many opinions as I could to figure out what would be the best way to go. So, okay, so now that we have the HTML made, we'll go ahead and want to make our script file. So we're going to do an edit.js. And the first thing we want to do is essentially is just add a event listener to this click button. So we already have some of that going on here. Add.js. So I'm just going to, this is going to have some of this similar behavior. So we'll start there. So we're grabbing the submit button, we're adding an event listener click, we're putting the default, and then we're grabbing the name, the URL, and the photo, and we're essentially putting that into a data. So we're doing very, very similar. And instead of to the fetch call to the API/add, we're going to want to do it to API/edit. And instead of it being a post, it's going to be either a patch or a put. And I'm not sure which one. So let me look this up a little bit and see what the difference is. I think it's probably going to be put, but difference between patch and put. I know y'all can't see that screen, but it's I'm just Googling. Yeah, so let's go ahead and if you want to, okay, say put is used for modifying existing resource. On the other hand, the patch request is used to update some portion of an existing resource. If you want to update a particular record, use the patch method. The put request is just like a database update statement. So they sound like they're still kind of the same to me. Let's go ahead and do a put. A patch, because it says that if you're updating, just do a patch, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm open to suggestions if anyone has opinions otherwise. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and do a patch to API/edit. We're going to go ahead and just send the same data, and we can kind of do the same thing here. We'll just do artist updated instead. And then so now we have to write this API/edit route to receive that call. So we have our Express app here that's coming through from our server.js file. So we have an app.get and app.post. Let's go ahead and do an app.patch. Doesn't like that. Okay. Let me look up the Express methods. Express methods. Okay. Express routing. Okay. App.get. App.post. That's fine. Res.json. Okay, sorry. Express patch method. Okay, Express basic routing, express.js. Okay, so there is no app.patch. So we're going to do app.put. Express made the decision for me. Okay, and then it's going to be /API/edit. And it's a function of request. Oh, let me just switch over here. Make sure I can see. Okay. Okay, so function of rec and res. And again, we're just going to console log the request for now. And then we're going to just send back a... really, we don't need to send anything back. I could just maybe just do a res.end. Maybe I can do that for this too. Res.end. Okay. So back to our JavaScript. We are making a sorry, one second. I'm just looking up now the fetch API to make sure that I do a put correctly. So I'll go ahead and bring this over here so we can look at the documentation together. Okay, so yeah, method is put. It's okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so back to over here, we're going to do our method as put and save. Okay, and then we want to make sure we call in our JavaScript file here. Source is /scripts/edit. Cool. Okay, so let's restart our server. Nope, that's not the way to do it. Oh my gosh. Let's just do it the old-fashioned way and type it in. Okay, so we can go ahead and come back to our local music app. Go ahead and refresh. And I forgot to add an edit link, so let's go ahead and do that now. So it's going to be in our index.html. We're just going to add a link here. href is edit. Edit artist. And then we just need to add that to our HTML routes as well. So we have an app.get of edit. It's going to be a function of rec and res. And we're just going to send file path.join dir name. I wish this thing wouldn't pop up sometime. It's a comma. Couldn't remember if it was a comma or if it was a plus sign. Public/edit.html. Cool. Because we did update the backend, we'll have to restart the server again. That's okay. Usually, in the past, I've used like NodeMon or NodeDaemon. I don't know how it's pronounced. I used to call it NodeDemon, but I know that's wrong. Okay, now we have an edit artist, but I don't have it set up on this computer. But if we go to our edit artist page, we have a form. Oh, there's no button. What happened to my button? Okay. Well, luckily it's just HTML, so we should be able to fix it. Submit type equals submit ID value. Okay, so how is that different? What's on the add HTML? Oh, I think, okay, well, there's something else I just realized. This needs to be a P, not a div. Submit. Oh, it's input type, not submit type. Is that not what I had? Yeah, I did submit type. Submit's not an HTML tag, pretty sure. Sorry about that, but like I said, because it's HTML, we can just we don't have to restart the server. We can just reload it. So now we have a button. So let's go ahead and update the artist. Instead of it being Jenny Lewis, it's going to be that. Artist updated. We got a response here. And we got the object logged here in the console. Cool. So we now have a somewhat functioning app. The whole front end, it looks ugly, but you know, that's fine. It functions. So the next step would be making these API routes actually do something interesting instead of just logging to the console. So that will be the next step. Let's go ahead and take a look and see. Think about kind of what kind of data structures that we are going to use to store this before we get to the database. So like I said before, I think it would be helpful to just kind of store it on the server for now, since we're just and make sure that that all gets working really well before we try connecting it to a database. So let's take a look and see, because I know that I've done a similar project to this before. My friend finder app, it kind of matches you with a dog friend if you're a dog. But let me pull this code over here. So the entire this HTML file has like a bunch of JavaScript in it too. It's actually a bunch of jQuery. Oh wait, no, it's not. No, this is vanilla.js. Yeah, query selector, event listener, and then I have the XML. Wow, I was very ambitious. And so, but that's great. Okay, so the thing I want to take a look at is this, because actually no, the thing I want to take a look at is going to be in my routing. There we go, API routes. Okay, posts. This is what we're looking for. So this app, essentially, you know, you fill out a survey, and it calculates the data on the front end, which is kind of interesting. I don't know, I'm not sure why I did that way. But then it sends over a bot, a request that contains some data from that survey. So it looks like I have everything. Const, new dog, new scores, differences. Okay, so I am pulling in this array here. Friends array is friends.friends. And I am pushing the dog to the array. And I'm responding back with the best match. That's different. Okay. Yeah, so this is a kind of more of like a global variable that's being pulled in. Well, I do have a JSON file. I guess we could use that to store the, for now, the objects. So let's give that a shot. It's been a while since I've done some server data, without actually going to a database and carrying it through. So it's kind of be fun. So let's see. All right, so we're already pulling in the artists. We're already pulling in artists in order to send it back. So we could feasibly, we already have access to it to add. So we would just need to essentially push it, making sure that we're pushing it the right way. Okay, yeah, I'm down for that. I'm still wondering if there's a way to zoom on this appearance. Yeah, zoom in. So control plus equals. That might make it a little bit easier for you to see. Okay, from now on I'm doing everything like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do an add. Yeah, so we have the console, the rec.body coming through in the console so we can see what it looks like. Essentially, it's an object name URL photo. We already have it. So all we really need to do is just push this to artist. So artists equals. Okay, so that means that this is going to have to be what? So artist equals artist.push rec.body. And then console.log artists. All right, let's just try that to start. So right now, our artists are all... Okay, let's bring this over. Let's just go to localhost 8080. We'll start at the beginning. And okay, so we'll start by viewing the artist. So we can see all the artists here are Death Cab for Cutie. We're going to add an artist. Jenny Lewis. Artist added. Maybe. We'll see. Okay. So it logged 5. I don't know why, but it did. I have it console log artists, so I don't know why it's saying 5. That would be the length, but okay, let's see what happened on our artist list. And now it's broken. Beautiful. Error is not defined at artist.js.29. Okay, this is good. Stuff is happening. Artist.js. Okay. So this didn't work. Probably because I did something. Oh, you know what it is? I think I know this. Artist.push doesn't return the new array. It returns the length. So I just need to push it and then log it. I don't actually have to save it as a new array. Okay. Oh, we're getting down to business. That's a JavaScript. Okay, I do need to restart my server though, because I junked up my data here. Okay, so again, we have just Death Cab for Cutie. We're going to add an artist. Jenny Lewis. Submit. Artist added. We have an okay response. Let's see what was logged to the console. Oh, check it out. We got another artist in our list. Okay, go back. View artists. Yay, broken photo link. All right, so now we have an edit endpoint that, and well, I'm sorry. We had an edit endpoint. We did add that. That is true. But now our post API endpoint actually does something. It adds an artist to the artist, which is pretty exciting. Like we have our app does something. It does something. So I'm kind of curious. Then okay, yeah. So this is what happens when you don't have a persistent database. So basically, what's going to happen is it's always going to feed from this data. I think I can go ahead and close all these. So I do have like a data folder that has my artist.json. So it's always going to start by pulling this in. And then as long as the server is up, the data will be persistent. But then as soon as the server goes down, anything that's been added is gone. So that's why we do want to add a database. But we are humming right along with these API routes. So we're at 46 minutes. I think we can do an edit. I think we can. So yeah, so we need to essentially take the request. Okay, let's think this through. We're going to take the request. We need to find the matching name in the object, and then we need to set the URL and the photo for that object based on what's come in. Okay, so first thing I want to do is essentially just grab those things. So it's coming through, and we have a rec, and we have a rec.body. So we're going to say, we already have artists. So let's just say const artist equals rec.body. And okay, const name equals artist.name. Const URL equals artist.url. And then const photo equals photo artist.photo. Okay. Okay, and then now we need to find, okay, in the, so let's look up some array methods. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's going to be filter or find, let's see, array, filter. Okay, now that creates a new array. No, we don't want that. Okay, so array, well, actually, no. We need to find, okay, yeah, we need to find the first instance of the name. Oh, this is hard. Okay, so maybe like index of. Okay, how to pull an object from an array based on parameter name. Okay, array methods find. All right, I think it's going to be fine. Returns the value of the first element in the provided array that satisfies the testing function. Okay, so you would want to find the element where, let's see, the element. Okay, so that's what we need to do for the array aspect of it, but then we need to get the object. So we're the, this is the only thing too about being full stack, because I start to get confused. Like, I know, is there like an object contains method in JavaScript? No, okay. Let's just log this. Let's see. We're going to console log rec.body. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so we have an array here. Okay, so first it load the request, and then we have an array. So we just need to get the, it returns the value. Oh yeah, can we just return like the index of an object in an array? so array.findIndex is a function of current value and then this value. All right. Find index. Let's look at the actual MDM docs. Sorry, I'll pull this over. Keep forgetting that it's not on that right screen. Okay. So I need to find index of element greater than 13. Okay, so I want to find the index where the incoming object equals the object. I still don't know if that's find. If find index, because like what would the index, well, then I could set the index. I mean, I could set the object at that index. So I could say, like, for example, artists index dot name equals name artist, you know what I mean, and then yeah, I think, and artists index dot URL equals URL, and artists index dot photo equals photo. So here I've essentially updated bam 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 the object at that index, but I need to find out what that index is. Okay, cool. No, this is good. I don't need to cancel out the rec body. Well, if I do want to do it, I'll do it up here. Okay, and then we're going to send back artist index, like the updated artist, right? That sounds like it would make sense. That would be a good thing to do. So yeah, we still need to figure out what the index is though. So index equals okay. So array1 dot find index, callback of an element. Let's just go to the examples. Okay, thank you. I wanted an example where it had the function defined here instead of separately. So fruits.find index, where the fruit equals blueberries. That's all I gotta do. Okay, so I have to do find index where the artist equals the incoming artist object. Okay, so it's gonna be artist.find index of artist where artist equals how about we call this artist update? Artist update. Okay, so artist update is the rec.body. That's the object. We're just saving the name URL and photo off of it. Oh shit, I'm sorry. Oh shoot, that's not gonna work. Because this is gonna make the whole thing match. So it needs to be artist.name of artist. Okay, sorry. Nope. We only want to match the name though, because we're going to be updating the photo. So artist.name equals name, the const name here. Okay, we'll take this artist update, artist update, artist update. Okay, and then here we're updating the name, URL photo, and then we're sending back. Okay, all right, I think that that's going to work. I'm going to go ahead and just log to the console, artist, and the entire array afterwards once it's been updated. Okay, so let's go ahead and restart our server. Document, localhost. So let's view the artist to start. Making sure y'all can still see that. Okay, cool. So reviewing the artist, right now all we have is 4 death cab for cuties. We're going to go ahead and add an artist. We're going to do Jenny Lewis and Jenny.jpg. Submit, artist is added. So now if we go back to view the artist, we have a Jenny Lewis. Okay, perfect. But we see that this link doesn't work. Well, yeah, that's not good. We want to fix that. So now we go to edit artist. Name is still going to be Jenny Lewis. URL is going to be this, but we're going to get a placeholder URL from our data. Okay, whoops, accidentally opened my snipping tool. Okay, and we're going to hit submit. It says artist updated. What log to node? Okay, that looks promising. So now if we go to edit, we go to view artist. Oh, we've updated the picture. It works. Yes. Okay, cool. So we have almost a RESTful API. We can still do delete, which we will. Essentially, we're going to use the same logic, but we're just going to find the index where the artist matches, and then we're just going to pop it off of the array. But it has been about an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there. Pretty excited with the progress that we've made, so I'll go ahead and get this going over to GitHub so y'all can take a look at the code. Okay, so we'll go ahead and add. Bash is slow when I'm streaming. Okay, so I like to write good commit messages, so we added logic to post and put endpoints, added edit artist screen. So the next step is going to be the delete. So origin master. And I push straight to master because it's a little tiny side project that I'm doing. So, okay, well, thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting. If you want to follow along with the code or download it or anything, it is up on GitHub. Here, I'll go to that URL and I'll pop it in the chat. So it is, I think it's just a local music app. Yep, so it's just github.com/CeceliaCreates/local music app. So pop that in the chat if anyone would like to code along with me. So this has been episode 3. It was, MERN stack. Now it's actually there's no React. I took that out. But we are making our way through. So I'd rather have progress than get too caught up with making it too complicated. So yeah, so next time what we will do is we'll add that delete endpoint, and then we can take a look at moving this data storage off of the server and into a database. So thanks for tuning in. See you later.